Welcome to the online captain's meeting for softball, presented to you by the sports section of the Columbus Recreation and Parks Department. Captains, please remember, it is your responsibility to share with your teammates the information presented in this video. At the conclusion of this presentation, you will know what your duties are as team captain. You will also be made aware of all the rule highlights for this year, as well as how to submit and update your roster by the appropriate deadlines. In addition, the zero tolerance policy and expected team behavior will be discussed. Finally, we will provide you where to go when you need additional information. There are a few main duties of a good captain: submitting and managing your roster, picking up your team's softballs, knowing all rules, but especially the rule highlights, understanding the zero tolerance policy, as well as your role in helping to enforce the rule, and finally, communicating with the office and knowing where to find additional information when needed. Submitting and managing rosters. After you have successfully registered a team for the softball league, you will receive a confirmation email. Once the league schedules are posted, you will receive another email with instructions on how to submit your team's roster. Each roster may have a total of 20 players at one time. Your original team roster must be submitted online prior to your first scheduled game time. This is important, as failure to do so may result in the very first game being recorded as a forfeit. You can add or delete players as often as you want throughout the season until the freeze date. After this date, no changes can be made to your roster, and all players are now considered frozen. All players on a frozen roster are now eligible for postseason play. This freeze date can be found in the rule book. Softballs are provided with your team registration fee. These softballs are required to be used in all games. In addition to receiving softballs, each team will receive a scorebook, special offers provided by our sponsors, and some additional league information. We call this packet pickup. We offer a few days prior to the season start that a team captain can visit us and pick up their packet. If you cannot attend, it is important to send a team representative to pick up this packet during the advertised times. Failure to do so will result in your having to pick up the packet at a later date, as well as pay an additional late fee. The dates for packet pickup are noted on your confirmation email and also on our website. We will now go over the rule highlights section of this video. Hopefully, you reviewed all rules online before registering your team and were able to select the appropriate level of play for your team. Let's review player eligibility and our different levels of play. And if you feel you signed up for the incorrect level, please contact our office right away. Player eligibility. First, all players in our leagues are classified either a sanctioned player or a non-sanctioned player. A sanctioned player is any player that has played and or appears on a team roster for any tournament or event sponsored by an outside sanctioning organization during the current year or last year. Sanctioning bodies include, but are not limited to, USSSA, GSL, NSA, ASA. A non-sanctioned player is one that participates in only league play. Various levels of play are based on this player classification. All sanctioned players must play in our men's major or mixed competitive divisions. We do allow an exception to this rule in our men's competitive division by allowing 2 sanctioned players per roster. No sanctioned players are allowed to play in standard or recreational divisions. For a full breakdown of player eligibility, please review the online rulebook. Home run limits. Another way we try to create various levels of play is through our home run limits in each division. Home run limits are based off balls that are hit over the fence only. After a team reaches its limit in home runs for the game, any additional home runs will be recorded as an out. It is important to pay attention to these limits. If your team has several hitters who like to hit home runs, and you have registered your team for a recreational league, then you are in the wrong level of play. Recreational game run limit. One other note on levels of play. Our recreational division plays a game run limit. This limits the total number of runs each team can score by inning and for the game. The recreational division is designed for social play, not intended to be highly competitive. If you are looking to play a regular game of softball where rules do not limit the number of runs you can score, but you still do not want to play against sanctioned players, then you want to be registered in the standard division. Illegal players and protests. Players must have photo identification with them at all times when they are playing. Please note, social media sites cannot be substituted for this identification. Failure to present photo identification upon request by a sports section representative will result in the forfeiture of the game. From time to time, a player may participate illegally playing under a different name, playing out of classification, playing on two teams in the same league, or may not be listed on the roster. We do allow a team to protest player eligibility as long as the team captain declares an official protest to the umpire before the final pitch of the game. A protest fee of $30 cash per player protested must be provided at this time. If the protest is valid, the fee is refunded. A sports section representative will decide the outcome at the time of the protest. Rule protests are also allowed as long as they are officially declared to the umpire prior to the next pitch and accompanied by the protest fee of $30 cash. Other rule highlights. A forfeit is when a team fails to show up for their scheduled game without notifying the sports office in advance. A default is when a team calls the sports office by 4:30 p.m. on the day of their game to inform us that they will not be attending their game. Both situations result in a loss. However, multiple forfeits may eliminate a team from being eligible for the playoffs, as well as possibly being removed from the league. For safety reasons, no one under the age of 18 is permitted in the dugout or on the playing field at any time during the game. In addition, the only players allowed to be outside the dugout will be the batter, base coaches, and the on-deck batter. All other players must remain inside the dugout. The profanity rule is important. Please remember that although you are playing adult softball, there are many spectators, including children, and the playing facilities are designed for a family atmosphere. The umpire has the authority to assess 1 out against the offending team that is using loud or excessive profanity. For serious violations, the umpire can eject the player or even forfeit the game. Our leagues allow unlimited substitution. This allows for a starter and a substitute to come in and out for each other as many times as they want throughout the game, as long as they are never in the game at the same time and occupy the same batting order. Our leagues do not allow for a courtesy runner. If a runner is injured and cannot run the bases, a legal substitution must take place. Prohibited items. Alcohol is prohibited by city code and therefore not allowed to be in the playing or spectator areas. There is only one exception to this rule, and that is through a valid permit that has been provided by the department. A violation of this rule can result in forfeit of the game as well as team suspension from the league. All forms of tobacco, including e-cigarette and vapor use, is prohibited by the playing or spectator areas. There are areas provided for this outside of the playing areas. Violation of this rule can result in forfeit of a game as well as ejection from the facility. For safety of all participants, jewelry is prohibited during play. This includes rings, earrings, studs, posts, visible piercings, watches, chains, and medallions. Medical or religious medallions can be taped inside clothing. Flat, smooth wedding bands are exempted. It is always the player's choice to take off any jewelry. However, our umpires are instructed to enforce the jewelry rule by not allowing anyone with it on to play in the game. The playing fields with turf infields have special rules that prohibit several items from being used on the playing surface. This is not only for the protection of the fields, but also for the enjoyment of all those who participate. The Zero Tolerance Policy. There is a league expectation that all teams, players, and spectators behave in an appropriate manner that fosters a family environment. Respect for one another is the key to this policy. Violations of the policy will be dealt with severely, quickly, and not necessarily progressive in nature. Although handled on an individual basis, there are disciplinary guidelines listed in the online rulebook. Please be aware that as a team captain, you are directly responsible for cooperation with the office into any investigation directed by the sports office. We hope you enjoyed this online captain's meeting and have a better understanding of your duties for this softball season. Remember, your next steps will be to submit and manage your online roster. Make arrangements to pick up your softballs at the advertised times. Explain the main rule highlights and share expectations of behavior to your team. Where to find more information? Please call us with any questions at 614-645-3366. As captain of the team, your final responsibility is to always communicate with the office, check your schedule often for changes, and check your email often for important communications from the office. For all detailed rules, pictures, surveys, park maps, schedules, standings, and upcoming sports information, visit www.crpdsports.org. To find out if your games are rained out for the night, call 614-645-RAIN at 4:30 p.m. each day or visit our website and select Weather. Follow us on social media through Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. As we come to the end, the Sports Office with Columbus Recreation and Parks Department would like to thank you for your participating in our leagues. You are now part of one of the largest softball programs in the country. Over 1,200 teams will participate in softball this year, and it is our pledge to make each and every one of them our highest mission. We encourage you to take part in surveys we send out and feel welcome to contact us and let us know how we can better serve you. Your online managers meeting is almost complete, so let's get ready for a fun, exciting, and outstanding softball season.